At a small roadside mechanic workshop, David, a 28-year-old mechanic, wiped sweat from his face. His clothes were old and stained with engine oil, but everyone knew him as the most honest mechanic in the area. Before touching any vehicle, David knelt beside an old chair. "Honestly, Father, thank you for another day. I may not have money, but I have life. Bless the work of my hands. Let my honesty bring me to a place my money cannot." Amen. His apprentice Musa smiled. "Musa, boss, one day you will become rich because of these prayers." David laughed. "David, not just because of prayers, Musa, because God reward honestly." Just then a customer arrived. "Young man, can you repair my car?" David inspected the vehicle carefully. "David, yes sir, the repair will cost 15,000. Within 30 minutes, the car was fixed. The customer mistakenly handed David 50,000. David counted the money and immediately returned to the 5,000. "Customer, you could have kept it, I would not have noticed." David smiled. "I have to sleep peacefully at night. Money earned through dishonesty never lasts." The customer shook his head in amazement and drove away. Unknown to David, someone had been watching everything. A few meters away stood a convoy of expensive black SUV. One of the vehicles suddenly stopped. Security officers rushed around in panic. A grateful woman stepped out. She was Mama Isabella, a 58-year-old billionaire widow. She owned hotels, shopping malls, transport companies, farm and luxury houses across Nigeria. Since her husband died 8 years earlier, she had lived a lonely life. Her driver looked worried. "Driver, madam, the engine has stopped." The security chief looked around. "Security, is there any mechanic nearby?" Someone pointed towards David's workshop. David walked over carrying his toolbox. He greeted politely. "David, good afternoon, ma." "Miss Isabella, good afternoon. Young man, can you help us?" David nodded. "Let me check it first." Within minutes, he discovered a faulty electrical connection. He fixed it, started the engine, and the car came back to life. The driver smiled with relief. "Driver, it's working." Mama Isabella was impressed. "Young man, what is your name?" "My name is David, ma." She smiled warmly. "How much do I owe you?" David looked at the vehicle. 10,000, ma." The security chief brought out 200,000 and handed it to David. David stared at the money. He removed only 10,000 and returned the remaining 190,000. Everyone froze. Security chief, "Young man, madam is rewarding you." David smiled gently. "I appreciate her kindness, but I cannot collect money I did not work for." The guards looked at one another in disbelief. Mama Isabella could not stop staring at him. She had met many educated people, wealthy businessmen, and influential politicians, but genuine honesty like this was rare. Mama Isabella, "David, do you know who I am?" David shook his head. "No, ma. To me, every customer deserves the same respect." Those words touched her heart. She removed a business card from her handbag. "This is my number and address. Visit me tomorrow. I would like to speak with you." David accepted the card respectfully. "Thank you, ma." The convoy drove away. The evening, David returned to his small rented room. He cooked a simple meal of rice and stew. As he ate, he looked at the business card. Why would a billionaire invite someone like me? The next morning, after praying, David put on his cleanest shirt and boarded the bus to Mama Isabella's mansion. When he arrived, the giant gate slowly opened. The mansion was so magnificent that he stood speechless. Beautiful flowers surrounded the compound. Luxury cars were parked everywhere. A security guard welcomed him inside. Mama Isabella was already waiting in the living room. "Welcome, David. Thank you for inviting me, ma." She smiled. "Mama Isabella, sit down. There is something important I want to discuss with you." Before she could continue, 3 well-dressed men and 2 elegant women walked into the living room. They were her children and relatives. The moment they saw David, they looked at him from head to toe. One of the sons laughed. "Son, mother, who is this poor mechanic doing inside our house?" The room became silent. Mama Isabella slowly stood up. She looked at her children with a serious expression.